Bernie Sanders and Joe Rogan.
Or had that brilliant documentary, Roger and Me.
Yeah.
Love
I know
that documentary.
Michael's a good friend. Yeah.
He's a great guy. That documentary is fantastic, and it shows the impact of a corporation taking all their factories, moving them away like that with no warning, no recourse, nothing anybody can do, decimates basically all of Detroit.
That's right. People don't know this.
Yeah.
But if my memory is correct, Detroit used to be in the 50s.
Third richest city in the world.
You got it.
Yes. Yeah. We've talked about it multiple times.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
Right.
And especially me as someone who loves American automobiles. I'm a big fan of what Detroit made during that time. And to see what happened to Detroit now. The last time I was in Detroit, it actually seems to be picking up. There's a lot of small businesses and a lot of artists and a lot of people that are proud to, like Shinola, companies like that, proud to be in Detroit. But there's just so many abandoned buildings. It's insane. You could buy a house there for $500.
Sure.
It's really crazy. Like giant factories where every window's smashed, all the pipes have been torn out, and it's just this hulking.
And it's not just
monument.
Detroit.
Right.
I mean, there are other communities, corporations say, hey. I mean,
that path is unsustainable, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, look, if we are, and again, it gets back to what we want as a nation, but you had corporations saying, hey, back then, not now, I could pay workers in China 25 cents an hour. Why the hell do I want to hire you for what it was at $5 an hour? Whatever.
Right.
And I'll never forget, Joe, early on when I was elected to Congress, this was when we had the NAFTA agreement. I went to the Maquiladora area. You know what that is?
No.
It's a special zone in northern Mexico, near the border. Where the government there, this is back decades ago, allowed American and other European corporations to sell and got tax breaks there. So it attracted all these corporations. So I went there with a congressional delegation. And this is what I saw. You saw these beautiful new factories. Now, this is 25, 30 years ago. And then we said, all right, I want to see where the workers live. And I'll never forget this as long as I live. Do you know those large cardboard boxes that refrigerators come into and stoves? That's where people were living. They were living literally in cardboard boxes, making, I think at that point, and this is a long time ago, 25 cents an hour. So workers in America were thrown out on the street. And people in Mexico exploited in a horrible way, and these big, shiny new factories at the time. So what you got, and I believe this strongly, you asked me, how does it happen? Why does it happen? I think, especially right now, and for many decades, you have the prevailing religion of the oligarchs and the corporate world is greed. That's all. I want it all, and I don't give a shit if I have to step all over you, throw you out on the street, take away your Social Security. I want it, and to hell with you. And that's why you end up with a situation in America where, the top 1% now owns more wealth than the bottom 93%, and millions of people struggle.
It's also a corporate culture of competitiveness.
Yeah, I do wish we could refocus the conversation on wealth inequality. That is like my number one issue that is going on right now, because there needs to be something done. It is insane to me when like people who are poor be defending these billionaires, and I'm like, these people don't need billions of dollars. They don't need 10 Lamborghinis. They just don't. They do not need 10 Lamborghinis. For what? They don't need 3 yachts. They don't need this stuff. Do you want to live in fun and luxury? Yeah. Bro, you could have a great time with 1 Lamborghini and 1 yacht. What can you do with that remaining millions of dollars? Pay people more so they can also have fun and live their life to the fullest? It's insane. It's insane how this is the way it is. If we could reinvest that wealth better, and I'm not for the idea that we should just give people money because a lot of people are fucking stupid. But you reinvest in certain areas to allow them the opportunity, if they want it, to make something out of themselves more so. If you're working every day of the week, you should at the very least be able to afford a home, take care of your family. Like if you're I don't care what the job is. If you're working every single day of the week, that means you're doing something productive for society. You're paying taxes. So you should be able to afford a home, pay for your family, because the most important thing in humans is family and reproduction. So pay for your family, do all that. And then there we go. That should be like the baseline. Affording a home, affording a car, affording your bills, and affording taking care of a family. That every American who works a normal job should be able to afford all that, but they can't, and that's ridiculous to me. Obviously, if you're not working, then I don't feel bad for you. But come on, bro, it's ridiculous out here.
Right. So they're competing with all the other corporations, and you have to keep up. And there's no way other than to increase your profits every quarter.
That's right. That's right. That is exactly. You do the right thing by workers. All right. That's a perfect example. So, you got Wall Street. Here's a fact. When we talk about it's not only income and wealth inequality that bothers me, it's concentration of ownership. So right now in America, in virtually every sector of our economy, whether it's agriculture, transportation, financial services, whatever, you got a handful of giant multinationals controlling that sector. But here's another amazing fact. Who do you think owns these corporations? You remember there was a day where somebody actually owned General Motors or owned Ford. They're now owned by Wall Street firms. You got 3 Wall Street investment firms. BlackRock, you're familiar with BlackRock? They
Garden State Street.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Check it out on Google. They are combined, the 3 of them combined, are the major stockholders of 95% of American corporations. How's that?
That's not good.
That's power.
Right. How did that start, and what could have been done to stop that from happening?
Well, I think it's greed. These guys are smart. They're hardworking. They're motivated. They want more and more. So if I can buy this, I can buy this. I can sell this.
Right, but they're all doing it within the law, right?
Yeah.
Right.
But,
Which is that the problem?
Yeah. But who makes that law?
They do.
Now, I want to go to another issue, which is very rarely discussed. All right? You ready for it?
I'm ready.
All right, hang on. Okay. There we go. And
Yeah, BlackRock has a lot of money. And I forget where I saw, nothing is as simple as, they make the laws. It's never that simple. But I think they do help consulting a little bit when it comes to certain financial decisions. And one thing that happened recently that tells you the relationship between Donald Trump and BlackRock is Donald Trump claimed that there was a organization that purchased a lot of land from Panama Canal and then used that as a means to praise himself. The organization he was talking about, you guessed it, it was BlackRock. BlackRock is the one that purchased a lot of territory from the Panama Canal and trying to take it away from China, of course. So I think for the most part, we got to recognize that they have a lot of influence. They have a lot of power. And I would be interested, maybe a future guest, I could talk about this on my podcast, discussing why more companies and corporations, they kind of have a program like this with a 401k, but there was only one job I've ever done where everything you do, you are automatically invested into the business itself. And I guess I might as well tell you guys this. I completely forgot that I invested into this business. And when the business got sold, I got thousands of dollars just sent to me. And I had no clue that I was automatically vested into the business. I feel like every corporation needs to have a program like that where someone is allowed to invest into the business and get a solid share of it. Of course, if you have millions of employees, you only can give them so much, but they should get something. They definitely should get something. And I don't know if all 401ks is necessarily an investment into the corporation or investment into natural. No, I know what it is. So in a 401k, from what I remember when I did one for my prior job, is that it was some type of IRA situation. And all they do is match the payments you put in there. But what you're investing in is usually they help you with it, like normal index funds potentially, right? So it's not necessarily investing into the business you're working for, but just, giving you a little bit of money for helping your general investments. And that's a good thing too. Don't get me wrong, but I think you could do another level, and you could argue a better level, because I'm gonna be honest, the amount of happiness I had, and when the taxes took my money, bro. So I was supposed to get should I tell you guys the amount? Okay, I was supposed to get $7,000. I wanted the money early so I could buy this car that I was getting. So taxes took $2,000, bro. Oh man, it hurt, but I wanted the money immediately. So it took $1,500 I was able to buy the car. Like I have a car now, but oh, that hurt. So like like don't get me wrong, I understand taxes hurt because when I went, I might as well tell you this story too. When I went to buy the car, in order for me to pay for it, because I bought the entire thing, in order for me to pay for it, I had to use my debit card. The issue though is that I didn't realize there's a 3% charge when I do it via debit card. So I did it via debit card, and I had to pay an extra like $300. I'm like, bro, so taxes suck. All of this sucks, but it is necessary. It's necessary. You gotta invest.
The problem
back
I think that
into
we
the
face as a country is not just economic disparities and all the stuff that we're talking about, rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer. It is political power. Right now, and I doubt that there are many Americans, whether you're a progressive as I am or a right-wing Republican, I don't think people can disagree that we have a corrupt campaign finance system. Argue with me?
No, I agree with you. Yeah.
All right, so let me talk about what it means.
Okay.
As a result of the Citizens United Supreme Court decision, I think it's 15, 16 years old, what it says is you're a billionaire. You have.
And then I think unless he doesn't bring it up, I'm going to add to that as well because they are making new decisions to make it even worse. But I'll let him.
Have now the constitutional right, because your money is your freedom of expression, right? So you don't like Bernie Sanders, you can put millions or hundreds of millions of dollars into a campaign and express your view about how terrible Bernie Sanders is,
right,
and you can buy that election, right? That's your constitutional right. I think that's probably the worst decision that the Supreme Court has ever made. So what is the result of that decision? The result of that decision, let's take us to where we are today, is that Elon Musk, and I know Elon was on your show, and he's here in Austin, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, and we could talk about Elon, but he spent $270 million to elect Trump as president, okay? I think that's absurd that any one person...
What's the most someone donated towards the Harris campaign?
They spent a lot of money on Harris as well.
They spent $1.5 billion just over the course of a couple of months.
You got it. All right, let me talk about it. So
Yeah,
I'm not here just to say it's a Republican. That's my point here.
Right.
Okay. So Musk spends that money, and what's his reward? He becomes the most powerful
So Joe Rogan got super defensive there. Okay.
person in government for 3 or 4 months. Okay, fine. But what you have right now, and I just saw this the other day, you are a Republican member of Congress, okay? And you say, there's a reconciliation bill, which we can talk about in a minute, that this is Trump's big, bad, big, beautiful bill that's coming up literally on the floor of the Senate very shortly. So let's say you're a Republican representing a low-income district. And you say, I got a lot of people on Medicaid in my district, and kids can't get to college, and I worry about food programs. I don't think it's a good idea to give tax breaks to billionaires and cut back on Medicaid. You make that announcement today. What happens to you?
It's over. You're attacked. The swarm comes for you.
You got it.
Yeah.
It's not a swarm.
The problem is it's already been established, right? That these laws have been established. The power has been given to these people. The money has started flowing, and it's been flowing for a long time now. And this is the issue with starting something that you can't stop.
Well, you can stop it.
You can stop.
And you got to stop it.
Okay, but if you do stop it, all these people are going to throw all their money at stopping you from stopping, correct? Right?
Exactly.
They're going to come up with the best commercials with American flags. This country's all about competition and freedom.
You got it.
The freedom to donate to the party of your choice.
You got it.
Yeah.
Good.
Stop these communists.
Stop. You're writing their ads for them. They're going to pick it up. With the American,
I can write them.
Yeah,
I mean,
we
really.
all right. But then we got to take a deep breath and figure out where do we go from here. Now, I wanted to, in my, as you know, I'm the longest serving independent in American history.
Yes.
I caucus with the Democrats, always have, but you can't hear me defending the Democratic Party on this issue because you're right. During the election, it wasn't just Musk and Republicans putting a lot of money into Trump. It was Democratic billionaires putting a lot of money into Kamala and into other candidates as well. And I mentioned there's a guy named, let me know his first name, Mr. Massey. Is that name?
Thomas Massey.
Thomas from Kentucky.
Yeah.
And this guy, as I am, is opposed to this war in Iran. Just yesterday, Trump gave a long post about how they're going to primary this guy. And what bothers me is you would hope that there would be respect enough for members of Congress that you can vote your own conscience. You could represent your constituency. Every district is different in America. But right now, anybody stands up and say, well, I disagree with President Trump. Bam, you are finished. We're going to primary you. We got all kinds of money. You're out of there. That happened to Massey yesterday. But let me go back to the Democrats and tell you where the problem.
This episode is brought to you by Squarespace. If you've got a skill, there's no reason you can't build a business. There's supposedly documented terror cells that got in through the open border over the last 4 years. So what happens now in America? What happens on American soil?
Sure. No, I agree with those.
When a guy like Thomas Massey steps up and says something, he's going to have a lot more support as well.
The answer is yes. And my only point is he has a right.
Yes.
Somebody else says, hey, I think the war is a great idea. Fine, that's your view. You got to go back. But what bothers me is that if anybody stands up the next day, we're going to primary. You're out of here, man. And that's the Republicans. Let me talk about the Democrats for a moment. Okay. And I don't even know your views on this, so you may disagree with me. Israel was attacked by Hamas, and Hamas is a terrible terrorist organization. They killed 1,200 people, which in a small country like Israel is a lot of people. Terrible, terrible attack. It's a war crime. Israel had a right, in my view, to defend itself. But the Netanyahu government did not have a right to kill 52,000 people in Gaza, wound well over 100,000. And right now, as we speak, Joe, children are starving to death because of Israel's blockades.
Yeah.
Starving to death. And I brought forth 2 resolutions, which basically were very simple, and they said no more U.S. military aid to Israel under these conditions. One vote got 15 votes in the Senate, the other one got 16. Do you think that members of the Senate do not know what's going on in Gaza? The kids are starving to death. The innocent people are being shot down right and left. They know it. Why do you think I couldn't get more votes?
They wouldn't vote against Israel.
Right.
It's political suicide.
Now you're talking.
Right.
All right. So in the Republican side, you have moneyed interests saying you speak up against Trump, you're out here. In the Democratic side, you speak up against the Netanyahu government, you're out of here as well. And they have been successful. You have super PACs like AIPAC spending a fortune. And they've already knocked off a number of members of Congress, good members of Congress, and they will do it again. So all I'm saying is you got a corrupt campaign finance system on both sides, which is rejecting the will of the American people and end up supporting powerful special interests. And if we do,
I probably should do a podcast episode. I feel like I've done it before, but now I should do a little bit more of a structured version to kind of go over Citizens United, lobbying, and some of the new stuff that they're proposing. Apparently that they're proposing some ideas like religious institutions can now support a candidate. So religious institutions are now going to be putting money into candidates now. And I think I saw somewhere else about making. I'm gonna have to look that up because I don't really remember off the top of my head. But ultimately, is there a issue with like supporting or donating to someone when? And there is limitations between donations. There's like PACs versus super PACs, and some people, some locations you can't invest a certain amount of money. Regardless, if you consolidate a lot of the funds, it's still a good chunk of money, especially for super PACs. I think we could probably have a conversation of getting rid of super PACs. Ultimately, especially with the introduction of social media. My thing is, I think it's fine to donate for a cause you care about. For example, if you care about the idea of bettering public education, you want to donate to a candidate that has a very good education format or plan that could be beneficial. You want to ensure, you want to make sure that they win, so you donate to their campaign and help them run more ads, help them travel, all that stuff, right? I think maybe it is there. That's why I want to really deep dive this. I think we need more transparency in the money and where it's being spent. So the amount of money given and everything it's spent on. Maybe that does exist. So I could be a little ignorant. I only know so much, but that needs to be much more apparent. Matter of fact, I think you could argue that on the profiles of these politicians, it should be right next to their name, the amount of money donated and the amount of money used, and like you can track who donated and where did they use these funds for. Okay. I think there also could be a conversation about when it comes to, in addition to transparency, how would I formulate this? Because you need money to run a campaign, or else like only like the rich people will be able to run campaigns. So you need the support of the people. The problem is when the rich people support a person, right? I think another thing that we should probably have a conversation about is probably better limitations on the amount of money you can put towards a campaign. I feel like that's the only other thing that you could do to ensure that the billionaires are not force feeding a candidate. It's probably the other thing you probably could do. Maybe a threshold of the amount of money you can use in a campaign, like it peaking at each candidate can only use $1 million for their campaign, something like that. I'm just throwing out a number. It probably should be larger, like $10 million. I don't know. Those are just some thoughts. Also, make sure you guys check out the podcast episode I had with the supposed to think, because he's trying to create a platform to challenge this exact thing that we're talking about.
Do not get a handle on that issue. I worry very much about the future of American democracy.
Are you going to run for president again?
I am 83 years of age.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm not sure the American people will be too enthusiastic on somebody's 108.
You're still very with it.
Thank you.
You are.
Well, yeah.
I mean, you're a couple of years older than Biden.
Yeah.
Right? Think of that.
Yeah.
You could be off a lot worse.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So we have been running around the country doing what we call the Fighting Oligarchy Tour, which is like why I'm here in Texas. We were in Fort Worth last night. A good turnout. And I think, interestingly enough, Joe, it's not most of the people. We know the people who come out to our rallies. You know, we have a big list of millions of people. But a lot of people are coming to our rallies that we don't know. And I think we know that some of them are Republicans and some of them are independents. Many of them are independents. Because I think across the board, there is growing dissatisfaction with the current politics in America, both parties. And people want a new vision for America, which is also something we don't talk a whole lot about. So, you know, the issues that we talk about is in the richest country on earth, why don't we have the best healthcare system in the world? Why do we have 85 million people who are uninsured? And as you were mentioning a moment ago, I mean, he deals with the insurance companies and the drug companies. And the function of the current healthcare system is to make these guys very rich, and it works. They make zillions of dollars.
I'll probably end with this conversation. So after they're done talking with healthcare, I'll probably end this video because I don't want super long videos anymore. But all right.
And every place you go, in my state, the cost of healthcare is going up this year like 10, 15%. People can't afford it. And we lose thousands of people every year. People get sick. They can't afford to go to the doctor. They die. So, you know.
One of my other top 5 issues that I care about is our healthcare system being trash.
One of the fights that I hope we can win is to have the United States join every other major country on earth and guarantee healthcare to all people as a human right.
Well, we've talked about that a lot on this show, that if you view this country as a community, the most important thing is to protect the most vulnerable members of your community, period, right?
I agree.
And if we spend insane amounts of money on all sorts of things that people don't agree with, and I think generally most people would agree on some sort of a national healthcare system.
They do.
Most people. Like there's concepts of socialism that everyone agrees with. One of them is the fire department. Right? Everyone thinks that every citizen should have access, the same equal access to the fire department. And we all pay into that.
That's right.
And we all believe in education. We all believe that there should be free public education.
Right.
And most people believe that the university system should also be funded. It would benefit everyone.
You got it.
It would benefit everyone to have more educated people that are doing better in the world. You'd have better GDP.
Why is Joe Rogan saying things that make sense, bro? Like, I don't get how. I mean, I do get. Why do I keep on saying I don't? I do. But I don't. Maybe people are easier to manipulate than I expected. I just don't see how you know these things and think Donald Trump's the answer, man. Like, I know Donald Trump lied to you guys thinking that he's the answer, but why are we falling for a billionaire's lies? Also, a billionaire who sucks. He sucks. He's always sucked. Like, at least if it was Bill Gates, then I'll be like, okay, I hear you. You know, Bill Gates always seemed like a cool guy for the most part. You might have some criticisms on some things he may or may have not done, but he always seemed like a genuinely one of the better, more gooder billionaires that exist out there, right? Donald Trump of all people, like, come on, bro.
You'd have more successful people.
Absolutely right.
If you want to make America great again, less losers. How do you make less losers? Don't stack the deck against them. You know, one of the first things that you'd have to do is figure out why these communities and these cities have been the exact same way.
Yeah, it's like programs like DEI are supposed to help these things. I'm just saying, what I bet Joe Rogan talked about how DEI was racist. I'm not gonna prescribe that onto him, but I have a feeling. Okay, I have a feeling.
For decade after decade. Back to Jim Crow and the red line laws and all these. Why is nothing being done to fix that or to correct that
DEI.
problem? And it becomes this political beach ball that they just bounce around the air at a concert. You know, and everybody, it's like there's certain things that just keep coming up that make you just go, well, how are we still talking about gay marriage? How is that still coming up? And it's like, poof, throw it up in the air.
All right, let me get back to that. But I want to say
there's a bunch of these things, right?
All right, the first point you made. You want to make America great? Right.
Yeah,
the best,
less losers.
Have the best educated workforce in the world. How's
Yes,
that? Radical
yes.
idea? I
Yeah.
don't think so.
Right.
You're absolutely right.
Better education.
You
and
live
healthcare.
longer when you have better education, et cetera,
Right,
et cetera.
right.
All right. So what does that mean? It means right now, you know, I talk to psychologists all the time.
You do?
Yeah, I do, because I was the chairman, now what's called the ranking member of the Health Education Labor Committee. So, you know, we deal with medical people all the time.
Uh-huh.
Wasn't me personally. That I may need also, but no, I was talking to a more general sense. Look, what are the most important years of human development? You're a human being. What are the most important
When you're a child.
That's right.
Yeah.
0 to 4. How's our child care system doing?
Yeah, not so good.
It's a disaster. So
Yeah.
you got a rational society says, okay, the kids are the future of America, right? You talked about the sense of being a community. All right.
Right.
So if I love this country and I want this country to do well into the future, I have to worry about the children, correct?
Right.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Right now, for economic reasons, when I was a kid, by the way, and there's another shock some of your younger listeners here, there was one worker in a family could actually bring home the bacon and pay the bills. You know?
Yeah. Back in the old days.
Back in the old days, yeah, man. So I grew up in a working class family. We didn't have any money. My dad went out to work, mom stayed home, and that was it.
Yeah. Made healthier people too that way.
It did. I think in many respects, it did.
Well, something happened.
I don't necessarily agree to that. I don't think it created healthier people. I feel like you're trying to prescribe something that should not be attached to.
And where they sort of devalued the woman's role as a mother, and by convincing them that they have to be a part of the workforce.
I think that's part of it. I think the other half is women legitimately wanted, careers as well.
Sure.
And the other thing that happened, maybe most significantly, is you needed
to stay alive.
2 breadwinners
Yeah.
to stay alive.
Yeah. That's the problem. The real problem was financial.
Well, women wanted careers. That's not a problem at all. Let's be very clear. There's nothing wrong with a woman wanting a career. They were told to stay at home. They weren't given choice. There's nothing wrong with women having choice, okay? Like, the problem, I don't think a woman chose to have a career purely because they couldn't afford stability without a career. Now, that definitely exists for people. Let me very, very clear. A lot of people have to have both parents working to afford their home. That is 100% true. I don't necessarily think that's the cause of why women wanted careers, though.
Financially, it just seemed so difficult for one person to pay for everything.
Exactly.
The only way to do it was to have both the parents working.
I was thinking, I grew up in Brooklyn before I moved to Vermont, and we lived in a rent-controlled apartment. And I was doing the arithmetic. My dad didn't make much money, but we didn't pay much in rent. And I couldn't quite remember, what his salary was and all that. But my guess is we paid, as I recall, talking to my brother about this, about 18% of my dad's salary for rent. 18%. Ain't nobody in America today who's paid 18%. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's why you need 2 breadwinners, because you're paying 40%, 50%.
Right.
Yeah. But getting back to this issue of education, which I think is key. If you were rationally thinking about the future of America, if you loved America, as we all do, you're going to have the best childcare system in the world, so the kids will do well in school. Right now, in childcare, you got workers out there making $15 an hour. And you have families that cannot afford childcare. In my state, I don't know, it's about $20,000 a year to send your kid to childcare. So you're making $50,000 a year. How do you pay that? $60,000.
Right.
You can do that. And then education. You got kids who want an education. They want to go to college. They want to go to trade school. We desperately need. Here's something that really drives me a little bit nuts. In America today, Joe, not only is our healthcare system failing because it's based on greed, not on need, but we need more doctors. All right, all over the country, people have to wait, sometimes months to get to a doctor's office. We have a massive nursing shortage. We need more dentists, big problem in dentistry. We need more mental health counselors. We need more pharmacists. How come the richest country in the world, we don't have enough doctors and nurses?
Because it's very difficult to do. It's very difficult to become a doctor, and the bills that you have from education are overwhelming.
All right, you want to go to, let's just say, tomorrow you announce to the world, you give it up this podcast, you want to go to medical school, all right? You got it?
Yeah.
You know how much, if you don't have any money, you know how much you're going to graduate medical school in debt?
Probably $250,000 easy.
Double that.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not, obviously it varies per person, but it is not unusual for guys, people, working class homes, go to medical school, about $500,000 in debt.
Right.
Nurses, I don't know, $150,000 in debt. That is insane.
It's insane.
All right.
Yeah.
We need more doctors. So I want to encourage you.
Bernie Sanders is spitting, in my opinion. I'm not gonna lie. I agree with a lot of what he's saying. I don't have the absolute mindset where it's just like, it's just greed, it's just evil people. It's never that simple, but I do think it is a problem, and I do think it needs to be fixed, and we have the capacity to do something, but nobody wants to do anything about the status quo because, it's just a level of complacency and peace, bro. And because we were complacent in peace, we allowed a fascist authoritarian to fuck everything up. So now he's made it much worse. Donald Trump has made it harder to get student loans. Hopefully people know this. It's harder to get student loans. There are a lot of degrees you can't get anymore with student loans. There's a lot of limitations in general. So it's this stuff is not going to get easier. I think ultimately what Donald Trump is doing is going to increase all the problems we already have. You know why? Because of the greed that Bernie Sanders is talking about. Well, the people who now want to benefit from that greed, now they have all the power.